Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney. It's Tuesday, January 26th. Thanks for choosing to be here for the top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. We start with something you may have been hearing about from medical professionals. Medical professionals are now recommending that people double up their masks when they're out in public to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. The nation's leading infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says that this is likely more effective in stopping the spread of COVID-19. One doctor who works with COVID-19 patients says that you can wear a surgical mask around your nose and your mouth and then a cloth mask over that for extra protection. This same doctor says that the way he thinks about it is when he's working with the two masks, one layer works underneath to cover the nose and the mouth so that particles don't get through. And if you add a second layer, it's just that much more effective. And for him specifically, he likes wearing two masks because if the top layer gets any particles on it, it can easily be removed and the bottom layer is then still clean. Now, this advice from medical professionals is coming as we learn about the more contagious, as doctors believe them to be, variants of COVID-19 that we believe to have originated from other countries, showing up in parts of the United States. Not getting a lot of information from the medical field on this right now as they continue to learn, as the science continues to develop. But as we learn more, we will certainly bring you more. But as of right now, doctors are recommending two masks to be worn to be more effective to stop the spread of COVID-19 in public. Now, there's been a lot of conversation about registering for vaccines, and some people have had a tough time doing that as the rollout continues here in Ohio. There's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can register for a COVID-19 vaccine if you're in one of those Phase 1A or Phase 1B groups with your county board of health. So you can check that out. You can register with them there because the county boards of health are getting a certain supply of COVID-19 vaccines. You can also register directly with the major hospitals here in Northeast Ohio. That includes university hospitals, the Cleveland Clinic, and Metro Health. Now, if you choose to register with university hospitals, there are at least 3 ways to do that. They have a website up, which we have linked on WKYC.com. If you can't access the site for university hospitals, you can also call 216-844-3339. Again, that's 216-844-3339. Choose option 2, and someone will call you back within 24 hours. Now, if you have access to the internet, but you can't email or you can't text message, you can go to the university hospital's pre-registration site, and what you need to do is fill in your home phone number, and then when you select how you want to be contacted, choose text from that drop-down field, but in the cell phone number, just enter all zeros. And when that happens, if you fill it out in that way, you will get a phone call on your home phone when it comes time for you to register. Now, if you want to register through Cleveland Clinic or Metro Health, you can do that through the MyChart app, and you also need to be an established patient at Cleveland Clinic and Metro Health in order to do that. Another way to register for a COVID-19 vaccine, if you are within one of the groups that are eligible, again, there are certain dates. We have those all listed on WKYC.com. As those ages continue to break down, this week it's 75 and up, next week it's 70 and up, the following week it's 65 and up. You can do that at the pharmacies that will have COVID-19 vaccines. That's Mark's, Discount Drug Mart, Acme, Giant Eagle. We also have a list of the providers that we are aware of that will have vaccines. And to get all of this information, you can just go to wkyc.com/vaccine. And you will find all of the information there. That's where we have all of our vaccine information concentrated. Now let's talk about some of the updates from Governor Mike DeWine's address today regarding teachers and vaccinations. He says he's moving up vaccination dates for teachers in Cincinnati specifically. He says the state has plans for everyone in the state of Ohio who works in a public school returning to in-person learning to get the first shot in February. That is coming up very quickly. We also have an update from Governor DeWine today about the curfew. He says if we see 7 straight days where the hospitalization number is below 3,500, right now, by the way, we are on day 5 of that happening, that the governor will announce on Thursday an 11 p.m. curfew. Right now, that curfew is 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And he says if we get the number below 3,000 hospitalizations, then he will lift the curfew and there will be no curfew. That's the latest from Governor Mike DeWine. Now let's talk about the COVID-19 numbers out from the Ohio Department of Health. In the last 24 hours, we've seen 4,262 new reported cases of COVID-19. That number is down However, the number of new reported deaths is up from what we saw yesterday. We've seen 88 new reported deaths in the last 24 hours related to COVID. When we take a look at the percentage of tests coming back positive for COVID-19, the latest data is from Sunday, and that daily rate was 10.4%, and the 7-day average is staying steady at 9% based on the data we have leading up through Sunday. The total number of hospitalizations we saw in the last 24 hours is up. That's 295 today. But right now, for the first time in a long time, we have below 3,000 people currently hospitalized with COVID. That number is 2,964. Again, remember, the governor said if we can stay below 3,000 for 7 days, he will lift the curfew. And in the last, and of those 2,964 people who are hospitalized right now, 741 of them are being treated in an intensive care unit. We saw 40 new ICU admissions in the last 24 hours. And out of all the hospital beds in the state, 28% of them are available right now for people who might need to check in to be treated in a hospital bed. Now let's take a look at the national and the global numbers for COVID-19. These numbers come from Johns Hopkins University. Here in the U.S., the total number of COVID cases we've now seen reported is at 25,335,606. The total number of deaths related to COVID is now at 422,583. We're seeing the percentages stay steady from yesterday. We've got 4% of the global population, but 25.3% of the cases and 19.7% of the deaths here in the U.S. Globally, we are right on the verge of a total of 1 billion reported COVID-19 cases. The number, as of this afternoon, 99,981,026. And the total number of deaths globally at 2,149,385. Now, if you remember the other day, we were talking about how President Joe Biden was getting some criticism because he had promised 1 million vaccinations per day. Well, now he's upping that goal. Now he's saying by spring he thinks we can get to 1.5 million vaccinations per day. This was after he announced his initial goal of 100 million vaccinations in his first 100 day in office. And some people had said, well, that number is just not high enough based on what we can do during the flu season, where they do 3 million flu vaccinations per day. So he has upped that goal. Now he says over the next 3 weeks, he's hoping for 1 million vaccinations per day and to increase that to 1.5 million per day in the weeks after that. Now, Rochelle Walensky, who is the newly appointed director for the Centers for Disease Control, said on Sunday that the Biden White House doesn't currently know how many COVID-19 vaccines are actually available. She said this is because of a lack of data gathering under former President Trump's administration. So that may be a challenge there moving forward as they move to get to that goal of at least 1.5 million vaccinations per day. Now let's turn to the sports world and what happened here yesterday in Cleveland when the king himself, LeBron James, returned to play the Cavaliers in Cleveland for the first time since 2018. And you guys know I love a good petty sports story. Well, in that game, at the end of the third quarter, James went to go for a 14-foot jump shot, and he missed. And because he missed, that put the Lakers down. They stayed down, ending the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter, trailing 89-87 against the Cavaliers. Now, before heading back to the bench, you could see James sort of look at someone who was on the Cavaliers bench and sort of say, okay, yeah, we'll see. It was kind of like a little nod there. He noticed what was happening over there. And then in the fourth quarter, James came back with renewed energy, and he, by himself, outscored the Cavs 21-19 in the fourth quarter. He scored a total of 46 points in the game, and the Lakers ended up winning 115-108 over the Cavs. So he was asked about it after the game, and he said, yeah, it was somebody that he knew for sure that he felt like was just a little bit too excited about seeing him miss that 14-foot jump shot. He said, yeah, he was really excited about seeing me miss a little bit more extra than I would have liked, but he's got to root for his team, obviously, and he showcased that. So some friendly rivalry there with LeBron James and somebody from the Cavs front office. He didn't say exactly who it was, though. All right, let's talk about football at least one more time. Our 3 News sports analyst, Ben Axelrod, just put up an article with the top 10 plays of the Cleveland Browns 2020 season, which, by the way, on the website, you can also listen to the voice of the Browns, Jimmy Donovan, call those plays. Let's just take a moment to revisit the incredible football season that we all just experienced. The Browns went 11-5 in the regular season. That's their best record since 1994. their first time in the playoffs since 2002, and they beat the Steelers in the wild card round, the first playoff victory in 26 years. Pretty incredible. So now let's talk about just a couple of the plays that made that happen. First, let's talk about the final win of the postseason when the Browns took a 7-0 lead to start the wild card round because it was the very first play from scrimmage, and the Steelers center Marquise Pouncey snapped the ball over the head of Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger. Brown safety Carl Joseph picked it up in the end zone, and the Browns had a touchdown within seconds of that game to go on and win the game 48-37. And it was just beautiful. That entire first quarter was just beautiful. Okay, let's also talk about the fact that we saw Jarvis Landry play quarterback a couple of times this year and also had a touchdown pass to Odell Beckham Jr. This was in the first quarter of the Week 4 matchup against the Dallas Cowboys, and it was a 37-yard completion to give the Browns there, again, an early 7-0 lead. Love that trend. And finally, can we just talk about the touchdown that wasn't even a touchdown from Nick Chubb? That was versus the Texans, and he ran with the ball with 1:07 left in the first quarter. A 59-yard run could have been a touchdown. He stepped out of bounds at the very end because by doing that, all the Browns had to do was take a knee twice and confirmed their victory. Selflessness. And in a post-game interview about that, Chubb said that he kind of forgot about it until he was down there, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to score. We had called the play not to score so that we can certify and guarantee the win. Betting people were not happy about that, though, because the Browns did not cover their 4.5-point spread with him not scoring that touchdown. But crazy things could happen. You know, it would have actually been possible for the Browns to not win that game if Chubb hadn't stepped out of bounds. For more of those plays, the other 7 plays, make sure you check that out on WKYC.com. And before we go here, yes, it's Tuesday, January 26th, and Valentine's Day is coming up probably more quickly than you might realize, and our contributor Laura DeMarco has put together a list of 15 sweet ways to say I love you, Cleveland style. Here's a WKYC exclusive. You can create your own bookstore night. This is in Tremont at the Visible Voice bookstore, and you can rent out the bookstore for yourself, reserve it for your entire self, for you and a date, and you can have a private shopping experience, plus a charcuterie board. I never know if I'm saying that properly. Charcuterie board for 2 people from Larder, and 2 bars of chocolate from the Cleveland Chocolate Company, and a bottle of wine or a non-alcoholic beverage of your choice. There are only 3 slots available, so check that out on WKYC.com. Another thing you can do to celebrate Valentine's Day in a very Cleveland way, you can watch the virtual production of Love Letters with Leon Bibb, our very own Leon Bibb, and Sandra Bishop. That will be on 7 p.m. on Saturday, February 13th. We've got that linked on WKYC.com. And if you do want to get out in public, you might want to be looking into those igloos, right? Well, those are probably booked up at this point, but we do have a list of those places where those igloos, those outdoor dining spaces are available if you want to try your luck there, make some last-minute phone calls. But something else you can do outside is you can head up the Cleveland Botanical Garden because the orchids will be blooming. The annual orchid show, which has been called Orchids Forever this year, opens perfectly timed on Saturday, February 13th. It runs through April 11th, so you can extend that, by the way. You do need reservations in advance, and the tickets go on sale this Saturday, January 30th. Check out those ideas and more on WKYC.com. That's it for your 3 News Now update for Tuesday, January 26th. I'll see you next up on What's New with your trending stories in the Clicking in Cleveland segment, and we will be revisiting your favorite past vacations today. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'll see you there, and here's a reminder that you can watch it for free in the WKYC app, so download that if you don't have that yet. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Stay safe and be well, and I will see you back here tomorrow. I'm Stephanie Haney.